Joining me now is Hen Mazzig. He is senior fellow with the Tel Aviv Institute, also a former Israel Defense Forces humanitarian officer. And thank you so much for giving us some of your time today as we take this live look out there on the National Mall. Talk to us about the significance of today's march. I mean, what type of message is being sent with this?
Thanks for having me, Nichole. I think that the message is really powerful. I think when we're seeing so many Jewish people and allies coming together, and it's very telling how the contrast between the protest against Israel that we've seen in America and around the world in recent weeks, and this march. People are not covering their faces; they're not ashamed. They're standing together. It's very emotional. A lot of people are crying. They're expressing their fear, and they're calling for peace. Like we're not hearing any calls for genocide. We're not hearing any calls for violence. I think everyone just wants to take a moment to come together and to advocate for peace and for a true ceasefire, which means releasing the hostages and ending this violence. That's what they're all standing for.
And Hen, are you at all surprised to hear how Evan described the mood of what's happening out there? He almost described it like a rock concert, that the people there really seem happy to be there.
I know from my own experience and my friends that are actually right there with the crowd that we felt alone for so long. I think that Jewish people have felt like the whole world does not care about us. We've been shouting that anti-Semitism is on the rise. The numbers are clear. It's we're seeing this. There's no longer lines between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. And to see people coming together, I think it's really it's uplifting in this horrific time for Jewish people around the world. And I think that we've been gaslighted as well. I think we saw yesterday that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Representative Rashida Tlaib hold a small gathering in D.C. with a few handful of anti-Israel Jews, what Tlaib would call props, but they're not showing up now. When the mainstream of the Jewish community is coming together, and that's really telling. And I think we've been not only attacked and facing violence and hate, but we're also being gaslighted so much. So I think that's why people are really happy to be together.
And Hen, I do want to talk to you about the rise in anti-Semitism. I want to talk about even the safety of this event. But let's go back to the message being sent that you talked about. Do you think that message is or will be received?
I hope that it will. I think that we're seeing how social media and the public have a lot of power to influence officials and politicians. I do see that the Biden administration and leaders around the world really truly understand why Israel has to do everything it can in this rescue mission. Israel, at the end of the day, the Israeli army is there to release the hostages. That's their main mission. They want to bring them home. And I think that we do have the international support. I hope that this show of strength and of unity would be a reminder that not everything that happens on social media is real life, and that people are still sane by and large.
And my last question for you, Hen, why do you think we are seeing truly an exponential rise in anti-Semitic incidents, not only around the world, but particularly here in the United States?
That's an excellent point, and I think one that is often being ignored. The rise in anti-Semitism started on October 7th. Until then, of course, there was rise in anti-Semitism on an ongoing basis, but the spike that we're seeing now, we're talking about over 400% almost increase in anti-Semitism since October 7th. So I think the answer is quite clear. It's because of Israel. And if in the past we could have made the distinction between people being anti-Israel and anti-Zionist and anti-Semitism, now it's clear that people that have deep feelings about Israel, that take down posters of children being kidnapped, that are attacking synagogues, trying to burn them down, attacking Jews in the street. I think all of it is a reminder that anti-Semitism is not just hatred of Jews, it's hatred of the Jewish nation as well, which is the only Jewish state is Israel. And I think that's why we're seeing that.
Hen Mazzig, we certainly appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.